Hello, my girlie. Welcome to Talks with SAE, the only late night, thought provoking, giggle inducing podcast for my ladies whose days melt into their nights. My girlie, can you believe we're heading into another year? If you're like me, you've probably already started thinking about your 2025 goals, or maybe you're feeling that low key dread that comes with setting resolutions that just never seem to stick. But the thing is, resolutions fail. Most of them fail. And they fail because they're rigid, they're unrealistic, and they don't leave room for the realities of life. That's why tonight we're flipping the script. I want to challenge you to rethink this whole new year, new me ideology and replace it with something that's way more empowering, which is progress over perfection and alignment over pressure. We've all been there where January 1st rolls around and you're all hyped on this new year energy, right? You tell yourself, this is my year. This is the year I'm going to finally lose those 20 pounds. This is the year I'm going to write that book. This is the year I'm going to start my YouTube channel. This is the year I'm going to start waking up at 5 a.m. every day. This is the year I'm going to be consistent. This is the year I'm going to do all of these things. But then by February, that energy, that hype is gone. It's completely fizzled out and you're left feeling like you've failed because to an extent you have failed. The problem with all of this is that resolutions are usually set from a place of pressure, not purpose. You're basing them on what you think you should be doing, not what truly resonates with you. Saying I want to get fit, I want to lose weight, or I want to save more money without a clear plan is literally like trying to drive somewhere new without a map and without your phone. Like what? Make it make sense, right? So how do you fix this? Well, the first thing is you need to shift from resolutions to intentions. Stop thinking about New Year's resolutions because resolutions are rigid. They make you feel like you're either going to succeed or like you're going to fail with nothing in between, right? With intentions, on the other hand, they're fluid, they're forgiving, they focus on the why behind your goals. For example, instead of saying, I want to lose weight, you might say, I want to feel strong and confident in my body. The second thing is to focus on systems and not outcomes. So if you know anything about the book Atomic Habits, then you know that the book focuses on systems, not outcomes. There's a quote in the book that says something along the lines of, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So instead of obsessing over the results of your goals, create daily or weekly systems that support your goal. For example, if your goal is to save money, set up an automatic transfer to your savings account every payday. The third thing is being flexible and kind to yourself, but also being realistic. Life happens. The only guarantee in this life is change. And sometimes change favors you, sometimes it doesn't. And so because life happens, your goals might need to shift. The goal itself doesn't need to change, but it might need to shift. So instead of giving up when things don't go perfectly, adapt and keep moving forward. So let's just dive into how to build a strong foundation for your 2025 intentions. So the first step is to start with reflection. Before you set any new goals, you need to look back, analyze, and reflect, because reflection is the foundation for meaningful. It helps you understand what's worked, it helps you understand what hasn't worked, and it also helps you know and understand where you want to go next. Think of it as clearing the clutter before you bring in something new. Like if you're going to buy a new couch, you're not going to keep the old one. You're going to remove the current one and make space for the new one. But in order to make space for the new one, you need to know, okay, what was the size of the first couch? How much space did it take up in my living room? Did it go with the decor pieces in my living room, in my home? Things like that. Reflection is the same way, right? That may have been such a terrible example, but when you are reflecting, you need to do so effectively. So let's break this down. The first step in reflecting is to celebrate your wins for the year. Way too often, we gloss over our achievements and our accomplishments because we're so focused on what's next or on all the things that went wrong in the year. Just take a moment to list out what you're proud of this year, whether it's something big, whether it's something small. Maybe you landed a new job. Maybe you started therapy. Maybe you just simply survived this year. The second step here is to acknowledge your challenges and your low moments. What tested you this year? And more importantly, what did you learn from those challenges? What did you learn from those experiences? Maybe you struggled with burnout, but then it made you realize that it's so important for you to set boundaries. So, this lesson of learning that you need to set boundaries as a result of struggling with burnout has allowed you to shape your future intention of setting more boundaries for yourself. The third step in reflecting effectively is to identify your patterns. You need to be looking for recurring moments and themes in your habits, in your relationships, in your mindset, and how you are navigating your life. So, for 2024, did you notice that you were saying yes to everything that always left you feeling drained, or were you carving out time for creative hobbies that just brought you joy, that always brought you peace, that always brought you back to yourself? Really looking and trying to reflect back on these patterns, it gives you clues on what to carry with you in this new year, but also what to leave behind. So we're setting intentions in 2025. We're not setting resolutions, right? And so in setting intentions, they need to be authentic, right? Because you don't want 2025 to be superficial and just a waste. You want it to have meaning. You want it to have authenticity, right? Because that's how the best moments of your life happen. That's how the best years of your life happen. And the first step here is very similar to the previous step, which is to do a self reflection. So think of this as a deep dive into your heart and your mind. Ask yourself, what do I value most in life? It could be your family, it could be creativity, it could be love, it could be your spirituality, it could be adventure, health, or even peace of mind. When you identify your core values, it's so much easier to set intentions that actually resonate with you and what you want from 2025. For example, if personal growth and learning are what you value most, your intention for 2025 would be something like, I will read one book a month that helps me grow personally or professionally. That intention feels much more authentic than a vague resolution like, I want to get better at time management, because authentic intentions are driven by the desire to become a better version of yourself, not by external pressures or societal standards the way resolutions are driven. The next step now is focusing on how you want to feel in the coming year. For example, in 2025, you decide, I want to feel stronger and more energized. So this intention is prioritizing the feeling of vitality. It's going to be a reminder that your journey is about more than just checking off the boxes the way that resolutions are, right? It's going to be more about embodying a way of being and embodying a way of living and really allowing yourself to start or continue to cultivate a life that is full of quality for yourself and a life that is authentic to who you are. So once you have identified your core values and your feelings, the next step would be to transform those insights into actionable, realistic intentions. So let's say you value creativity. Instead of saying, I want to be more creative, you would make it more specific, more actionable, and more measurable. So this would look something like, I want to carve out time each week to engage in creative activities that bring me joy, whether it's painting, writing, coloring, or simply daydreaming. So this type of intention is flexible, it's actionable, measurable, and it aligns with your personal values because it's more about consistently showing up for yourself, right? The next step now is to track your progress in a way that feels fulfilling rather than overwhelming. So you can use a journal, you can use an app, just something that allows you to reflect regularly on how you are progressing with your intentions and understanding, like, with the progress you're making and with tracking your progress, are you moving forward? If you're not moving forward, what roadblocks are stifling you or causing you to halt? Because acknowledging your small wins and honoring how far you've come is so, so important when it comes to actually completing your intentions for 2025. At the same time, as the year progresses, you'll start to see, as a result of tracking your progress, that you are developing such a stronger connection to your intentions. And that'll encourage you and allow you to really move forward with your other intentions, with your other goals of the year, you know? All right, let's talk about the actual steps when it comes to your goals and your intentions, right? Like you may be going from point A to point F instead of going from point A to point B to point C to point D. And so I want to touch on the small steps that lead to the biggest transformations. It's the small steps and the consistent progress that leads to you actually accomplishing your goals for 2025. Because it's so easy to get overwhelmed by the big goals, the big resolutions, the vision boards that are filled with all these aesthetic aspirations. But your accomplishments, your goals don't have to happen all at once. In fact, they most likely won't happen all at once, and that's okay. That's okay. The first step here is to shift your mindset from, ooh, I need to achieve everything right now. I need to achieve everything this year. I need to do all of these things and accomplish all of these things on my vision board this year. And if I don't accomplish all of them this year, then I failed. Change that mindset to, I can make gradual progress. I can complete 50% of these goals on my vision board. To me, success with my goals in 2025 looks like completing 3 of them. I want to complete all of them, but if I complete and accomplish 3 of them, then I know I've had a successful 2025. This shift alone can help reduce the pressure that you are creating for yourself to, complete everything at once. And you're thinking, what if life gets in the way? What if life starts lifing? Well, this is where you have to be flexible. This is where you have to be adaptable. This is where you have to give yourself grace and understand that change is the only guarantee in life. The big goals that you have require a forgiving mindset. It requires a mindset of, it's okay to fail forward. I should be failing forward, right? Because rather than beating yourself up for missing a day of your new habit, just acknowledge it and get back on track. Get back on track. Small steps are sustainable because they don't require perfection. They require consistency. And sometimes consistency looks like missing a day, missing a week, missing a month, but then getting back on track, picking yourself back up and trying again, right? Because the goal is to keep showing up, even if you fail backwards, even if you stumble, even if you pause. Don't stop, pause. And another key aspect or another key thing too is measuring your progress, measuring it in a way where you're not just looking at the outcome. Like we've been conditioned to measure our success by the results of our goals, right? So how much weight did we lose or how much money have we saved? But the focus should be on the progress itself. So celebrate the fact that you showed up each day this week. You celebrate the fact that you stretched for 5 minutes or longer each day this entire week, because measuring progress based on effort and consistency helps you stay disciplined. Celebrating your small wins along the way is what matters. That is the key to long-term success. Every step you're taking toward your goal is a victory, no matter how small it is, because they help build your confidence. They help build your resilience. They help build your discipline. And they remind you that change is actually happening, that progress is actually happening, right? So whether that small win is completing your first 10-minute walk or finishing a chapter in your book or cooking your healthy meal, just take a moment to acknowledge that you are actually making an effort, and then stick to being consistent about those efforts and stick to having like a small win schedule. So let's say every month you celebrate the fact that you completed your 10-minute walks. So the first time you complete your 10-minute walk, you celebrate it. And then a month later, you celebrate it. A month after that, you celebrate it. And then 6 months in, you have a slightly bigger celebration, and these little celebrations, they reinforce your new habits and they keep you going, because who doesn't like to celebrate? Who doesn't like to feel good, right? Who doesn't like to feel like they're making progress? Who doesn't like to really see the tangible results of their progress. So the next part of making 2025 your year is consistency. Notice that I have not mentioned motivation because motivation is like spinach. You know how spinach, it comes off as like this big, grand, I'm about that life vegetable. And then you start cooking spinach and it shrinks. And you're like, what is this? That is what motivation is. It's going to shrink. It's going to go away. It's going to disappear. And consistency is the difference between achieving your goals and letting them slip away. The reason why by February your goals they're out the door is because you weren't being consistent with them. You allowed that high motivational energy in January to be what determined your goals. You didn't allow consistency and discipline to be what determined your goals, to be what allowed you to keep going with your goals. And I just want to say being consistent doesn't mean burning yourself out or adhering to a rigid schedule. You have to find a sustainable routine that fits your life without creating exhaustion for yourself, without overwhelming yourself, and allowing a routine that is adjustable, allowing a routine that's adaptable. And this takes planning, but it also requires a mindset shift towards progress, not perfection. The first step to consistency is managing your expectations. We tend to set these big, ambitious goals and then we just let them slip away. They fall through the cracks, right? And consistency isn't about doing everything perfectly all the time. It's about just showing up for the small tasks. It's about showing up for the mundane moments, the mundane progress, especially when your motivation is non-existent, right? And it's important to know that consistency is a long-term thing. If you are trying to go for like, immediate fast results, you're just, it's not going to work for you. It's not going to work for you. Your goal here should be to build habits that will pay off over time. So you have to set realistic expectations for how much time and energy you can dedicate to your goals on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis. And then you have to adjust as needed because life happens. Another step / key to consistency is creating systems that support your goals rather than just depending on motivation, which is going to disappear. You need to design systems that make it easier for you to succeed. So, for example, if your goal is to be more active, schedule a specific time to move your body and make it non-negotiable. This could mean setting a reminder on your phone or leaving your workout clothes out the night before, or even sleeping in your workout clothes. The more you integrate your goals into your daily life, into your routines, the less effort it will take to maintain consistency. It's so easy to feel like you need to do everything all at once, but you cannot have this mindset. It's going to lead to burnout, and then it's going to lead to you completely dropping your goals and completely just being like, you know what? I know I'm not going to accomplish this. Let me just forget it. Sometimes you just are going to be overwhelmed because of life, but you can try your best to avoid this. And in order to avoid this, you need to be breaking your goals into manageable chunks and focus on one thing at a time. So for example, if you're aiming to read more books, start by reading 10 pages a day. And then once that becomes a habit to you, once those 10 pages a day are just natural and just part of your routine, you'll find that you just naturally are reading more pages and you won't feel overwhelmed by trying to do all of this, right? Another thing about consistency is being adaptable and flexible in how you are approaching consistency when it comes to your goals. Life happens, and sometimes things do not go as we planned, or sometimes, we do all these things and then it just doesn't work out. And we're like, oh, I failed. Let me give up. If you fail forward. And that means take some time to feel that failure, whether you want to cry, whatever it is, feel that failure and then analyze it. Analyze that experience. So that experience of failure, did it occur because of something that was in your control or was it out of your control? If it was out of your control, that's life. Move forward, right? If it was within your control, you need to analyze what went right, what went wrong, and the roles that you played in that, and then come up with ideas for how to move forward if it happens again, or what you're going to do to prevent it from happening again. Right? So that's moving forward, and that's being flexible and adjustable and adaptable. And that's still you being consistent, even if you failed, even when you failed, because you're not abandoning your goals when the failures happen, when the setbacks happen. You're giving yourself grace, but you're also being realistic. You're also being adaptable. You're also being flexible. Let's say, for example, you miss a workout or you didn't meet your daily journaling goal. You're not going to completely give up on journaling or writing, but you're going to be like, okay, you know what? This last week I didn't work out. This last month I didn't journal at all, but I'm going to get back into it, right? You're going to persist. You're just going to keep going. And you have to hold yourself accountable for these things, by the way. Whether that's having someone check in with you to see how things are going, right? So I want to sum up some of these things I've talked about, because I've talked about a lot. Number one is to habit stack. So pair a new habit with an existing one. If you want to journal, you can do it while you're having your morning coffee or your morning breakfast. Number two is to use visual cues and be prepared. So set your environment up to support your goal. Well, if you want to read more, keep a book on your nightstand. If you're trying to be more active, lay out your workout clothes the night before. The third thing is to track your progress. So whether it's a checklist, an app, or a simple notebook, track your wins, no matter how small. And the last thing is to fail forward. So if you miss a day, that's okay. If you fail, if you have a setback, that's okay. What matters is getting back on track. It's about progress, not perfection. It is never about perfection. And to bring all of these together, I want to give you a couple of actionable steps you can take today to just kickstart 2025 and make it the best, most quality filled, most intentional year of your life. The first thing you're going to do is reflect and redefine your core values. So start by reflecting on your life and identifying your core values, not reflecting on 2024, but reflecting on your life. And identify your core values that you want from life. This will serve as a foundation for setting your intentions for 2025 and setting intentions that resonate with your authentic self. So ask yourself questions like, what do I care about most in life? Who do I want to prioritize in the next year? What do I want to prioritize in the next year? What makes me feel fulfilled and alive and makes me feel like I'm coming back to myself, makes me feel like home? Once you identify your top 3 to 5 core values, write them down and use them as a guide for setting your intention. This will give you a clear direction, which will ensure that your goals align with your deepest values rather than being based on external pressures or what you think you should be accomplishing. The second thing is to set specific intentional goals based on your core values. So you know what your core values are, right? Because you have clearly defined them and you have identified them. So turn them into specific actionable goals for the year. So for example, if health is a core value for you, your intention for 2025 could be, I will prioritize my mental and physical health by engaging in 20 minutes of physical activity. If creativity is a core value for you, your intention for 2025 might be, I will dedicate 30 minutes every week to exploring a new creative outlet, whether that's drawing, writing, or photography. You want to ensure these connections are connected to how you want to feel in 2025 rather than focusing on an outcome. The third step is to break down your goals into small, manageable steps. So for example, if your intention is to build a morning routine, you can break it down into the following steps. Step 1, you set a consistent wake up time, even if it's 10 minutes earlier than usual. So maybe you wake up at 5:30 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. Or maybe you wake up at 7:30 a.m. instead of 8 a.m., right? And then step 2 would be to include one small habit like stretching or drinking water first thing in the morning or first thing when you wake up. Then step 3 would be to gradually add more healthy habits to your routine once the first step feels solid, right? So by starting with something small and incremental, you make the process sustainable and you avoid feeling overwhelmed. The fourth step is to use the habit stacking method to make the change stick. So this is pairing a new habit with one that you've already established and one that you already do to make it easier to remember and to allow you to be more consistent. So for example, if you already drink coffee every morning, stack the habit of journaling immediately after brewing your coffee. Or if you make your bed every day, add the habit of stretching or deep breathing for 5 minutes right after making your bed. And this is great because habit stacking creates a natural trigger for your new behaviors, which will help reinforce consistency without the effort of like always trying to remember what you need to be doing or what action step you need to be doing, right? The fifth step is to track your progress and reflect regularly. So tracking your progress, it doesn't just mean, measuring external results like your weight or your savings account. It's tracking your journey by reflecting on how you feel as you're making these changes. So maybe after each week or every month or every quarter, you journal or make a note of, how did I feel after accomplishing these small steps? Do I feel more energized, confident, or fulfilled? What worked well? What didn't work well? This practice keeps you grounded in your intentions and it offers valuable insights into what's working so you can adjust your approach accordingly. The next step, step 6, is to practice self compassion and flexibility. So life is going to life. There are going to be days when things don't go to plan. There's going to be a lot of days when things don't go as you planned. You may skip a workout. You might miss a journaling session. You might get sidetracked by other obligations or just, the experiences and realities of life. That is completely okay and that is completely to be expected. The key is to not let one failure completely derail your progress or completely cause you to abandon your goals. You have to practice self compassion by reminding yourself that change is part of your journey and that setbacks are part of the process, right? You have to be willing and accepting to fail forward. Instead of beating yourself up, allow yourself to feel whatever you feel as a result of that failure or that setback, and then view it and treat it as an opportunity to learn and adjust. The next step is to build accountability into your intention. So, being consistent is necessary, but it's hard. But it becomes so much easier when you have someone or something to hold you accountable. So, whether that's your friend, whether that's a coach, whether it's an online community, having someone check in with you and remind you why you set those intentions in the first place. So, you can set regular check ins with your accountability partner where you guys discuss your progress, your challenges, and what you need to focus on next. And if you don't have an accountability partner or you don't feel completely comfortable going to people try joining a group that aligns with your goals. So whether it's a fitness class, a creative group, or an online community, sharing your progress and your goals with others can create a sense of responsibility that can push you forward. This is not a necessity into your plan or into your goal, but it's something you can try. It doesn't always work out for some people. There are people who, for them, they can't share their goals with others because people have ill intentions. So take this part with a grain of salt. The last step is to celebrate your wins, no matter how big or small they are. Make sure you are celebrating your wins and your progress along the way. So whether it's something small like completing your first week of morning exercises or something as big as finishing your personal project, acknowledging your progress will keep you consistent and it'll keep you disciplined. This doesn't mean that you need to be waiting for the big win to celebrate. Small wins matter too. They matter. So take time each week or each month or each quarter to reflect on what you've accomplished, to reflect on your progress and reward yourself with something meaningful. So whether that's like a night out, whether that's visiting a new brunch spot, whether it's a new book or just even a moment of peace with yourself, just, celebrate the commitment that you've made towards growth, getting closer to those goals of yours. By following these action steps, you'll not only set yourself up for success in 2025, but you'll also ensure that the progress you're making throughout the year is completely in alignment with your true self, that it's manageable, and that it's actually sustainable for you and for your life. So my girlie, take a moment to think about how you want to approach the new year. What intentions feel most aligned with your values and the life you want to create for yourself in the coming year? To help you dive deeper into this, I've created a 2025 intentions worksheet. It's a guide filled with prompts to help you reflect on 2024, set meaningful intentions, and map out small, actionable steps you can take in 2025 to make it your best year yet. You can find this free resource in the show notes or in the YouTube description box. Before we wrap up, let's talk about next week's episode. So, next week, we're unpacking the negative effects of self-comparison and how to finally break free from it. Don't forget to sign up for our email newsletter for exclusive content, free resources, and the best holiday goodies. And that's it for tonight's episode, my girlie. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm so glad to have you on this journey. If you've enjoyed this episode, go ahead and tap that follow or subscribe button and leave a review. It lets me and the algorithms know you're really here to grow, learn, and say. You can also find me and Talks with SAE on Instagram at Talks with SAE. And be sure to share this episode and the podcast with your girlies so they can say it as well. Again, thank you, my girlie, for joining me, and more importantly, thank you for existing. Until next time, self-love bells.